I'm going to start with the piano to a click track and probably some sort of like just sampled kick drum. It's a beautiful piano. What I want to try to accomplish is playing sort of a piano version of the program vibe that I had done 10 months ago on my laptop. I like the sort of monotony of it. I like the ostinato effect of just the repetition of that fifth in the right hand. You know, piano is a very different beast. It's a huge sonic footprint. So I want to try and play it economically, not big flashy chords, just kind of open. And to me, that sounds more modern, you know. Unfortunately, when there's too much harmonic information, it starts to sound dated. I don't know why, like too many chords, too many major thirds, too many things. On this kind of song, I think it's better to keep it kind of spare. So in terms of the recording of the piano, we have a bunch of Gefell microphones. I've been a fan of Gefell mics since engineer Steve McMillan turned me on to my first good microphone for vocals, and I used it for everything. It's called a UMT-70S. Fantastic mic that sounds a lot like a Neumann 87 at about a third of the price. And they're a great company. They've been around for decades and decades. Actually, Neumann and Gefell were the same company at some point. I don't know the exact details of the history, but they splintered at some point. But they all use M7 capsules, and it's that sort of like, you know, German, big, gorgeous musical mic sound. So we've got, near the hammers, we've got two Gefell UM92s. And for room mics, we are using M300s. And down at the foot of the piano, about 9 feet away from me, we have a violet amethyst mic to pick up the low end. And we're going to probably add some low EQ to that just for extra sort of tone if we need it. Let's see what that sounds like. Regarding signal path for the recording of the piano, we are going to take advantage of this really pristine Neve 88R console that's here. And the mic pre's are fantastic. The EQ is also fantastic. We're probably going to add a bit of top and a bit of bottom. We should compress the hammer mics, like the UM92s, a little bit. There's a Chandler TG1 here. Limit mode is the way to use that thing. For whatever reason, I don't really get the compression mode in there, but limit is like magic. I don't want to do it too much because you can overcook it. And we're going to go straight into Pro Tools. We're clocking with an Antelope 10MX, which is what I also use at my studio in Los Angeles. And try and get all the processing done before we put it in the box. I'm a real fan of that, of recording the way you want it to sound rather than kind of tweaking after the fact. Of course, I always wind up tweaking after the fact anyway, but I like to commit to what it feels like it needs to be for the record. You know, here's the problem with me wanting to commit to sounds. Usually it works out, but every once in a while I have to backpedal because it's hard to know what a sound is going to need to do once other things are in the track and sort of competing for bandwidth. And there was just one thing that bugged me in the chorus, the top of the chorus on the piano, which we were running the most featured mics on the piano, the ones closest to the piano hammers. And because I was playing this huge A flat minor 7 chord, it made the thing choke a little bit. It was like, and then it would come back in. It almost sounded like the fader kind of went, and then back up again. It sounded great everywhere else, but it was starting to really bug me. And whenever something is just kind of like gnawing away at me, like a little persistent itch, I want to fix it, even if it means we have to like plug things back in and do it. So we did. We got a piano sound and we still went through the TG1, but we backed it off a little bit so it wasn't collapsing on that huge chord at the top of the chorus. It worked. We just had to match the level. I think we might have to clip gain the thing once I came back in and listened to it, but you know, sometimes we make mistakes, but that's a massive part of the creative process. In fact, some of the best things I've ever come up with in my life were completely embarrassing mistakes that I would have thrown into the trash bin, but somebody else in the room said, what was that? We should use that. So, I think screwing up is part of moving forward, especially in the recording studio. You got to try stuff, and not everything's going to work out the first time, and that's the way it's supposed to be.